is it about depression and anxiety and, well, panic and maybe even substance abuse and some of these things? I don't get them. I don't really understand them. Now, this little brain blast is based on a course that you'll find at richardhill.com.au in the courses and programs for business on how to recognize mental health in the workplace. But what it is we have these different types of expressions of the way people, they don't feel good. They have struggles with their emotions. We call them depression, we call them anxiety, we call them panic. And here's a really quick rule of thumb way of getting a sense of which type of emotional distress they're in, and maybe that'll give you some insight on how to handle it. And the best way to think, and the most simplest way to think, is to think of this as time, as in past, present and future. So what we've got in depression is we've got not so much a worry about things of the future, it's really no future. It's just a sense that I'm in this funk now, there's nothing coming, nothing's happening, I'm going nowhere, there's nowhere worth going to, and they become very contained in this time and this space. Interestingly enough, a lot of people, when they're tested, and there's been some science research on this, that they were actually the most realistic about things in the future, but that's because their optimism has gone. And it's not necessarily they're massive pessimists. So in fact, there's a lovely bit of film I have a young lad saying, people say I'm a pessimist, I'm not, I think I'm a realist. And the point of it is that they're right in the now. So sometimes really focusing on the now with a depressed person is not the best way to go. What you want to be trying to do is help them find some sense of purpose in future. Now, how you do that, that's a little bit tricky to do just in a brain blast, but that's the sort of focus that you're doing. Now, anxiety, on the other hand, that's all about the future. That's about what's coming, and that's about fear, and really not so much direct fear, because fear is when the saber-toothed tiger's in front of you, and then you're afraid. What this is about is fearfulness. So that is fear of something that you don't know, that you're guessing, your imagination. So I'm full of fear, but it's not really fear. It's sort of fearfulness. It's like fear. So anxiety is about the future. And what you've got to do with someone who's having anxiety is try to get them into the realities of the present and realize that in the present they're safe. Even though maybe the future's unsafe, but in the present they're safe. Now panic is about the now. Panic is about being overwhelmed by all the things that are too much now, and the present is overwhelming them and sending their body into a huge amount of immediate fear. Now, here's the interesting thing. A neuron, if it's firing, doesn't really mind. It doesn't matter to the neuron whether it's firing because there's a saber-toothed tiger or whether it's firing because of an imagined saber-toothed tiger. All it does is, this is the fear neuron, and away we go. And we get, if that compounds enough, it becomes panic. Now, the thing of it is, fear now, fearfulness of the future, is a lot to do because we have things that can't be managed, can't be resolved. And it's things like the 30-year mortgage. This is what Robert Sapolsky, the guy who actually discovered about stress and things with working with baboons. The 30-year mortgage and being not good enough, social criticism and blame. And we'll talk more about that in other brain blasts. And all these things which aren't really true to your present moment of living is where anxiety comes in, because it's worried about what's going to happen, and it's going to happen to me, and oh my God, I can't cope. And anxiety is the fear of the future, often fed by the past, because there was something that happened in the past, or many things that happened in the past, that give you the idea that they're going to happen in the future as well. Now, for some people, it goes even deeper. Now, we've got to be really mindful of those sorts of things, and as a practicing psychotherapist, I'm not suggesting that it's simple, I'm just suggesting you can get a handle on it by looking at these aspects. Now, there we go. So depression is being sort of stuck in now and not thinking much of now. and not feeling that now is going anywhere else. So what's the point? Anxiety, I don't want to go away from now. I don't want to go into the future. The future is full of scary things because they're just like the things in the past. And panic, there are too many things. I can't cope. I'm overwhelmed. I think I'll just fall over and play possum. So there's a quick insight of those three things. And that last one I just mentioned briefly, substance abuse, that's how we get out of it. And it could be your depression, it could be your anxiety, or it could be your panic. And getting out of it doesn't actually solve it. It just takes you to somewhere else, which just gives you another problem. There's a quick brain blast on those sorts of moods and feelings and how your immediate reactions can give you a bit of wisdom in how to help them and give them some advice and recommend what they do to feel better.